Thank you everybody for joining us today for our latest webinar. I'd like to introduce you to Christine Nicholson, who is going to be talking to us today about how to systemise your business to scale it. We're very much looking forward to hearing what Christine has got to say, and we know this is going to be really useful to all of our employers on the Kickstart scheme, as well as those who are watching on the recording. I'm Jenny. I am sitting in for Mark Rasher, who runs Sport and Activity Professionals. These series of webinars are presented for our Kickstart employers. Kickstart scheme provides employability training and employment skills for placements for young people 16 to 24 years of age who are at long-term risk of unemployment. So without further ado, I will hand over to Christine. Thank you.
Hi, thanks Jenny, and thanks to everybody who's watching, including those who are joining us live. I am just going to share my screen and hopefully everybody can see that.
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Well, let's get started, because what I want to do is, I know everybody who is listening to this is extremely busy. So what I'm going to talk to today is actually about achieving a whole lot more with less in your business by systemizing so that you can scale it. Now, systemizing will allow you to just get more, whether you are scaling your business or not. So regardless of the size of your business or what your ambitions are, this will have some relevance for you. So today, what I'm going to really talk about is with systemizing, it's really all about how to identify your desired outcomes, and then to actually have a quick understanding of the critical paths in processes, and really ask the questions about what activities move processes forward. The key thing, if you're a business owner, is involving your employees and getting them to do the work. Now, the key thing, if you're an employee and your boss isn't systemizing, is just get on and do it. And I'm going to give you all the tools and techniques to be able to show how you can add value to the business that you work in, even if you're not actually getting the push from the boss. And then I'm going to briefly cover about when to use technology. So my name is Christine Nicholson. I'm UK Business Mentor of the Year 2020 and just won UK Business Mentor of the Year 2021. I'm an author. I've written 4 business books all about how to run your business better. I'm a regular keynote speaker, and I am a professional business mentor. And I've been doing what I do for 30 years. Yep, I started when I was in infant school. And my background is that I am an accountant. So, but I have, I don't act like an accountant because I've been in business for so long. Now, with systems are one of the 3 magic things that really get your business flowing. And that's having some plans and goals, so knowing where you're going to get to, having the right people, and then systems is really doing the right things at the right time for the right reasons. So systems aren't technology. And the big advantage of systems is that when you do them and you put them together with the right people and the plans and goals, that you actually get reduced staff turnover and you get increased profits and increased productivity. So whilst building systems might be, oh my God, this is so dull, and it's painful, and it might feel like a really heavy task. It might be something that you just think, oh, I'll put that off till tomorrow. The payback when you systemize is actually pretty much immediate. So the first thing with systems, so forget technology for a minute, but the first thing with systems is actually identifying the desired outcomes. And systems are processes and procedures and methods of working that allow a consistent, high quality of delivery for repetitive or repeatable tasks or decision making. Now, the benefit of having a system is that as a business owner, you can extend your influence and reach within your business by getting others to do increasingly complex tasks without you being involved in the day-to-day. And what that does is it actually frees you as the business owner to get on with higher level strategic tasks where you can be working on your business rather than in it. Now, some of you might recognize these slides from some of my previous presentations, because there are a couple of key elements that you'll need within your business and actually have some clarity over to really get the benefit of using systems in your business. Because systems really are about the right people doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason. And the right reason is all around the purpose. You know, what's the outcome that we're looking for? And doing the right thing at the right time and having the right person doing it is all about having the right levels of accountability in your business. So accountability is knowing what needs to be done and actually getting it done. And purpose is understanding why. Now, when you mix that all with the right rewards and benefits system, then you've really got a business that can thrive, because it becomes easier, not just for you to work in, but for everyone else to work in the business. Now, for me, this all really comes down to the 3 C's. Now, when I was in the military, whenever you have battle plans, for example, the minute you have first contact with the enemy, all of those battle plans can actually potentially go out of the window. So how do people in a military environment actually know exactly what to do? What's the right thing at the right time for the right reason? And how do you know whether you're the right person? Well, really the 3 C's, which are clarity, certainty, and consistency, boil down to clarity of roles in the first instance, which is what's the role that you're fulfilling in the business, what's the role that the business owner is undertaking, and what's the role that all the other stakeholders are taking. And the other stakeholders are all of the employees, your customers, your suppliers. So when everybody knows what their position is, from a role perspective, and there's absolute clarity on that, it's much easier to get your systems in place. Where there's confusion, you're going to find it very difficult to systemize. So the next thing really is consistency, and it's one thing that systems really add is about consistency. And for me, this is a consistency in the activities and the understanding of those activities for your employees. So if everyone in the business understands how much authority they have, which is can they actually approve to get something done, how much responsibility they have, i.e. the doing of the things, and then how much accountability they have, which is making sure stuff gets done. Once there's absolute consistency over all of those elements, then you have a much better chance of putting in processes and procedures that build into systems that will allow your business to thrive. And it's not easy, I mean, but it's also not complex. It's just about having that bit of thinking and joining that up with the effort, and that gives you a great return on investment. When processes and policies are clearly understood and they are consistently applied, then you actually get greater certainty of the delivery to your customers. Now, all the other stakeholders also have certainty. So the employees have the certainty of understanding what's in it for me. The business has the certainty of understanding where the profit's going to come from and the increased productivity. And everybody, all the stakeholders have the benefit of security in terms of understanding that every day, if they follow the processes and the procedures consistently, then it'll be easier for you to get and keep your customers. It will be easier for your team to really thrive. And one of the immediate benefits is that you reduce your costs and improve your profits going along the way. So those are all the reasons why you should systemize, and also why you need to look for the outcomes and the certainty of the desired outcomes, which is exactly what your processes and your systems will do. But there are certain critical paths in processes, and this is where people tie themselves up in knots and make it quite complicated. But actually, it's one simple question. The critical path for all your processes are, what are the activities that move the processes and therefore the business forward? And once you've identified these critical activities, it's really much easier for you to document them and then process them. Because the real benefit of looking at processes is that it's not just about looking at the right activities, but making sure you've got the right who doing the right activity at the right time for the right reason. And there's a reason why I repeat that phrase over and over again, because if you think about that as your critical path, the right person doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason, then it actually is the guide for you to document your processes much more easily. There's nothing worse than starting with a blank piece of paper and thinking, now where do I start? But if you actually just answer those questions, you're already a head start. Because doing processes is actually much more simple and much easier, especially if you're not the one that's doing it, but the person who's physically doing the activity right now actually does the documentation. And there are 4 clear steps. Now, most people only do 3 steps, and I always build in the 4th step. So when the person doing the activity and actually does the documentation, what happens often is that they will miss things that they are doing automatically. So they're almost doing subconsciously. And the great thing about this particular process is once you've identified the business need in step 1, which is what in this particular activity actually ends up happening, and then you document that. So you think about what actually happens and what the outcome is. Because the first question is, do I still need to do this? Because I always say I can save anybody 25% of their time by telling them to stop doing something that adds no value. Because we all really only have 3 tasks: getting and keeping customers, staying legal, and making getting and keeping customers or staying legal more efficient. And those 3 things are really the identifying the business needs. So if the activity that you're doing falls into one of those 3 tasks, brilliant, that's adding value to the business. If it doesn't, you kind of have to ask the question, why am I doing it? So step 1 can immediately eradicate some of the things that you might be doing. Step 2 is actually writing down exactly what it is that you do. Now, when you document it, like I said before, often the person doing the actual task, when they document it, they'll miss odd things out. I don't know if you've ever read a manual with somebody who's doing instructions for software and learning new software, and then all of a sudden you come across something and you think, well, that screenshot doesn't look like what I'm seeing. And it can kind of make you feel a bit detached, as if you're in the wrong process. So step 3 is the magic step. Test it. Test it when you document it. So have someone in your business documenting the task, and then someone who doesn't do that task, get them to actually take the instructions and test to see whether there are any gaps. And this is the one thing that, instead of trying to document what you think should happen, document what actually happens and test what actually happens. Because now you've got 2 people who are looking at your processes in such a way as they're going to say, not sure that that's particularly efficient, or I don't know why we're doing that because it doesn't add any value at all. And that's step 4, where you then start to review and refine the process, which means that you're actually building in automatic improvements. And this isn't big bang where we're expecting massive changes. This is about small, inch by inch, percentage by percentage changes. There's an old saying, an inch is a cinch, a mile is a trial. And what you're doing when you're reviewing and refining your processes is you're actually getting those inch by inch by inch improvements. and they're much more likely to stick rather than, nope, it's not working, we're going to throw everything out, we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to do an entirely new way of working. That is one very fast way to disengage and make all your employees feel disgruntled. Now, what that might do for you is, if you're currently firefighting and doing random fixes, and that's when you're living in the chaos of now, then what systemization and documenting your process is going to do is it's going to lead to less chaos, more efficiency, and it's going to reduce the complexity in your business. It's also going to make everything feel easier. It's like driving on a bumpy road. It's so much less pleasurable than some newly laid tarmac. And systemizing your business is effectively filling in all the potholes in your business. It's much, much more efficient. So like I said, there's really only kind of 3 steps to developing all your systems as a whole in your business, which is identifying what needs to be done, documenting the steps, and then finally putting it all together in a place or in a single document. It can be standard operating procedures, it can be processes and policies handbook, but when you put them all together, it means that you can share them with all your employees. And from this point, you can then diarize regular review so that you can fit the 4 steps of documentation into your processes. Now, the real magic for business owners is getting your employees involved. And if you're an employee listening to this thinking, how can I push this through? How can I just grab this and show that I can add value as an employee, then, well, hey, send me your details because I want to employ you. But secondly, this is something that you can do without being led by your boss, just by showing them that you can go through these steps yourself, and then presenting it as an opportunity to improve what happens within your business and showing that it adds value. It's a great way of showing how you're a value-added professional. When you involve employees, then you're actually exposing them to a little more transparency around your business, and you're allowing them to participate in the continuous improvement, which means that you stand a better chance of having the right people at the right time, doing the right thing and understanding that it's for the right reason. One of the things that I say about systems is that if you've got systemization in your business, then you're actually making yourself as a business owner slightly more redundant, and actually being less dependent, your business being less dependent on you is automatically adding value to your business and making your employees a whole lot happier, particularly if they don't have to keep referring back to you for decisions. And if your decision making has been inconsistent, this will be driving your employees mad. What this does is it allows you to make an active decision positively on creating better quality delivery to your clients without you being constantly checking up on people. It's absolutely a win-win. Now, I do want to talk just very briefly about how teams and teams of employees particularly can become very dysfunctional as a result of business owner behavior. And what systems do is they actually help you turn your team and encourage your team to be much more functioning in your business rather than dysfunctional. Because quite often the business owners is, frankly, if I'm really honest, their own worst enemy. They create disharmony and through ambiguity. They, when they flip-flop and don't actually make firm decisions, but they change their mind constantly, then the team is always going to be second guessing. And that can mean that certain members of the team start to take over purely because they're noisier, they're potentially more extrovert. And some of your most value-adding employees who might be slightly introverted or they might be quieter will actually not get heard. And it's usually your introverted or slightly introverted employees that are more system orientated. And this is where you can actually get a whole lot more value out of them. So systemizing can help you take your team from being dysfunctional, where they might have trust issues, there might be conflict, they might actually lack commitment purely because they don't know who they're going to turn up to every day when they turn up to work. They don't have any accountability because they actually don't know what they're accountable for. And therefore, they can't actually pay attention to results because they don't know what the goals are. Whereas when you flip all of those on their head, when there's trust because there's transparency, when there's no conflict because everyone knows what they're accountable for, what they have authority for, what they have responsibility for, they now they can be more committed because there's less conflict, and they can actually take much greater levels of accountability. And what that does is it absolutely improves results, not just within the team, but across the company. And it does mean people that can challenge each other, but they can do it in a healthy way because everybody knows exactly what's expected of them and what they can expect of everyone else. And this is one of the key functions of systemizing. Now, a lot of business owners think, oh my goodness me, you can't possibly share all that with my employees. I know everything about my business and you can't teach me anything. But actually, as your business gets bigger and bigger, you get more and more dragged away from the coalface, or you only get dragged back in when you're firefighting. And this graphic, which is just an absolute favorite of mine, says it is very true. 4% of problems are known by top managers, i.e. the business owners. 100% of problems are known by their frontline employees. So if you think that keeping your employees in the dark about things is helpful to your business, I can absolutely categorically tell you that it doesn't. And if you really want to improve efficiency within your business and earn more by using less resources, then you really need to be sharing a lot of this information with your employees. Just open the door and let them get on with it. It's you'll be amazed that giving your employees the opportunity to add value, and they really will, they will do that. And people that don't generally self-select themselves out of the business by leaving. So systems do have the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it is difficult to know exactly what good can look like, but bad usually is dysfunctional, and we refer back to the slide about dysfunctional teams. And ugly can just mean complicated, where you've got too many things as part of your process, part of your processes that literally just don't add value. If you let your team members document the whole process and actually let them decide where the kinks are, because nobody wants to work harder than they need to. People want to get to the best outcome the fastest possible way. And so as long as you understand what your desired outcomes are, i.e. what exactly is it that you're delivering to the customers, then your employees will effectively give you the critical paths in your process, and actually make sure that everything else that really adds value to your client delivery is there, and actually remove anything that has any friction. So processes, when you document them, actually allow you to identify the friction points and the bottlenecks, and also allow you to do better resource planning. And if you let your employees get on with it, then invariably you end up with good processes that give the best outcome to your clients. And it also builds teams, and it builds teamwork across functions, particularly if you've got lots of processes that are undertaken by one team and then handed over to another team. The other thing it does allow you to do is, if you've got a business with multiple sites, is it actually allows you to benchmark different business divisions and different business sites across your whole business. You can actually benchmark, which means that everybody is now looking for ways to improve by looking at what other best practice is. Now, what this means is, then coming back to the accountability, purpose and rewards, is it actually once you've got systems in place, actually makes everything easier. It allows you to build a reward system into your employees that's much more effective and allows them to show their commitment because they know exactly what they're going to get by doing the right thing at the right time. You get greater accountability. They will exceed your expectation if they just understand what it is that is expected of them. And it actually allows them to dial into a purpose where you expose your goals to employees. And these are, again, I think the last session that I did, I used exactly the same slides, and I ask for no forgiveness for repeating them because they are so important. So ultimately, with systems being the third part of the three things that really get your business thriving, when you've got them all documented so that everybody knows. So if you've got the right people who know exactly what to do, and they're dialed into understanding where we're trying to get to, the systems are the things that help your people get to the goals and plans much more efficiently. And like I said before, reduces staff turnover, increases productivity and profits, and who doesn't want more of that? So I did promise right at the very beginning that I would talk about technology, because a lot of people really believe that systems are just about, we'll just stick some technology in there. And I often hear business owners saying, we're just going to go out and find a system to do that for us so that we can make it easier or we can automate it. And we don't need to, because we're going to go and get this software, we don't need to document our processes because that's what the new software is going to do. And I have to say that what actually happens is they go and buy something that isn't fully specified. The business doesn't need half of what there is that they're buying. They buy from the best salesman's pitch, the one who listened to what you want the system to do, and they just repeated that back to you, whether the technology actually does it at all. And then the technology is layered on top of manual processes, and then you feel like all you're doing is workarounds all the time. Technology should sit on top of your processes and make them more efficient. But you need to know what the process is first. And it's a big mistake. Like even the NHS has spent literally billions on software that just didn't work because it was purely specified and they were trying to layer it over really dysfunctional teams and really dysfunctional processes. So I'm just going to spend 2 minutes literally going through 7 steps for effective software purchasing or technology purchasing. And don't worry about making too many notes because these slides will all be available. And there is actually a transcript of this that will also go alongside with this slideshow. So the first real things are, and it'll come as no surprise, is identifying the business needs. Well, you were doing that in the process. To buy some software that's actually going to, or an app or whatever it is, that's going to help you make things more efficient. The first thing you have to do is understand exactly what the outcomes are that you're trying to create, and understanding the journey that you have to get there. Now, the second thing is that, and this is a lot of mistakes that are often made, is the leadership team or the business owner will go and buy something and they won't have consulted with anybody. And I do appreciate we don't run businesses on committee. I'm not a proponent of that. You know, you're the boss, you lead. But quite often what happens is that without getting stakeholder buy-in or involvement, you are divorced from the actual process. So what you think needs to happen might not actually be, if you're pulled away from it for any length of time, you might be missing certain nuances in the detail. And actually getting someone in from your employee team who does this stuff, they're already doing the processes, and getting them part of the project will actually pay for itself in spades in the long run. because they will be, okay, they might come at it from a slightly critical perspective, but they will ask the right questions. They will bring up the nuances. They will listen to the salesperson and actually really start to hear what the benefits of the new software are. Now, I've put determine your budget here, and it's one of the things that always surprises me is the number of people who go for these big software implementation projects without actually considering how much it's going to cost. And remember that any technology that you're going to layer on top of your processes has to pay for itself. It has to wash its face. It has to give you a return on investment. So actually understanding what this is going to save you. I mean, is it going to save you employing 2 people? Is it going to actually make the client delivery experience more enjoyable? What value is it going to add? So determining your budget around what value it's going to add then means that you're researching the right vendors. So you're actually looking at the right system at the right price to deliver what it is that you're looking for. Because there's no point in going out to finding people who are selling what it is that you think that you want, only to find that they're now pitching a £300,000 or £400,000 project when your budget's only 30,000. So you're wasting your time, you're also wasting theirs. And actually that can be pretty, it can end up with you being very deflated and actually missing out on an opportunity that could come and really give you the value that you're looking for. Now, once you've investigated a few, and again, you don't even need to do the investigation, you can get your staff to go and do this. Then what you then do is look at all this shortlist. And it's a really good idea right at the very beginning when you're identifying the business need is to say, this is the essentials. These are the absolute critical things that I need this piece of software or this app to deliver for me. And understanding exactly what it is that you want, then you can start to actually chuck a few people off the shortlist because it just literally doesn't do what you want it to do. What I often see is people getting vendors in and getting distracted from what they're actually trying to achieve by going, oh, didn't know something did that. And now I'm chasing a bright, shiny object when I'm actually forgot what I was trying to achieve in the first place. Always, always, always ask for a demo. And, I've been witness to lots of desktop demos. Don't be afraid to ask for more than one demo and actually make sure that you've got your list of questions before the demo takes place so that you understand what you're trying to achieve from this and make sure that you can tick off the things that does in the demo, can they exhibit all of the things that I want out of it? And then only then would I recommend that you actually make a decision. And it's easy to step into something really, really quickly, but it's really difficult to walk away from it if you've made the wrong decision. Software, once you've implemented it and you've paid the money and I've seen so many businesses, they've absolutely forced something to work because they've invested time, energy and money in it. Don't be afraid that if you've made the wrong decisions to recognize you've made the wrong decision and walk away from something that is literally not adding value to you. Now, I appreciate that that's been a bit of a whistle-stop tour through buying technology. And I also appreciate that during the last kind of 40 odd minutes, we've covered quite a lot. So we've actually looked at how to identify the desired outcomes, which is fundamentally, is this software adding is this system adding to the processes within your systems? Are they adding value to your business? And a desired outcome has got to be something that's delivered to the client or internally between departments. But you only ever have 3 jobs: getting and keeping customers, staying legal, or making getting and keeping customers more efficient. And when you stick to those 3 jobs, you and looking at your desired outcomes, you can actually eradicate some of the friction, which effectively is understanding your critical paths in the process, simply by asking what activities move the processes and therefore move the business forward. And if your activities aren't moving something forward, it might be worth considering eradicating them, reducing them, or changing them. As a business owner, you do not, or a business leader, you do not need to do this stuff on your own. It's much better if you get your employees involved. Some of your employees are going to be systems and process orientated. Get the ones that, when by asking them to do this, they go, yes. Get those involved in doing it, and actually get the people who are physically doing the work to document what they are doing and then review it, test it and review it, because that's the thing that's going to identify ways of immediately adding value to your business. And when you decide that you're going to use some technology, make sure that you choose the right technology for you, for your business, and for your team. So hopefully that's given you something to think about. If anybody contacts me directly, then by all means, I'm really happy to answer any questions. And I think we're going to stop sharing, and I'm going to see if there's any immediate questions for the people who dialed in.
Thank you very much indeed, Christine. That was absolutely fascinating. I do love your 3 points, the only 3 things you need to know in a business. I think that's really excellent. Does anyone have any? We've got a question. All right, Craig says there's nothing from him. All very clear and very impressive. So thank you very much. Jeanette, do you have any questions? Lovely. Sorry, Belinda, I'm so sorry. I had a bubble showing over your name.
No, don't think there's any questions.
Don't think so. Okay, well, if everybody's happy with that, we will. No questions from Belinda, so that's fine. Lovely. Well, in that case, if everyone's happy, thank you so much for a fabulous presentation. Really appreciated it, and we'll put the recording off now. And yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.